Welcome to the Franchising 360 Show, the only show that takes you inside the world of franchising, with hosts Tim Parmeter and Danielle Wright.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Franchising 360 Show. I'm Tim Parmeter. Alongside me, as always, is Danielle Wright.
One of these days I won't be always, but yes, hi, hello.
She is here as always, the lovely and talented Danielle Wright, actually. And here on the Franchising 360 Show, we are taking a 360-degree view of the franchising industry. Going to talk to you about some things to think about to determine if you should become a franchise owner. If so, what's the best one for you to own? Once you own it, and this is today in particular, some of the things to think about to help you be successful. We also will touch on this show at times, how to take your existing business and turn it into a franchise. But this one is really about kind of the success and failure. What are some things that make it happen or make it happen on the other side?
We're all loving that whole like Main Street America, Cody Sanchez, but what is the contrarian aspect of this? Like, why do they fail? Why are they not successful? Why are people unhappy? It's such a small percentage of ownership that falls into this category, right. But it's like if that's an issue, it's a bigger systemic issue from other things. So excited about this.
There's a lot of things we talk about that come back to the culture or just any number of different things in franchising, or the myth and the misconceptions of like, oh, it's food, or it's so much money, or oh, geez, franchises fail, right? All of those. But there are some pretty incredible statistics on and again, success is relative, but not being open anymore is not necessarily relative. And so, in fact, the franchising fun fact for this week is kind of along those lines. So
you're giving it away, so I can't ask you the fact.
I don't know the fact. I just know that that's
sure?
what the fact is going to be.
Yeah, okay.
Because sometimes you give me a little taste of it so I can try to be right and then just like hit the buzzer harder when I'm
no
wrong.
Fun if you're right. But
this, to be honest, this is one I already knew. But I'll guess the wrong answer anyway. So anyway, the franchise fun fact.
Then I might have to just change it then there, broski. Okay. What is the percentage of franchise businesses owned and operated by women?
It's always percentages with you, so I've got 1 in 100 chance to be right. I'm going to say it's over a third, less than a half. I'll say 38%.
Close.
What is it?
So it's not completely no. It's 40%.
Okay.
And those that are tuning in and like the fun fact and the fact that he was trying to steal and not answer truthfully was that 85 to 90% of franchise businesses are still operating after how many years?
After 5 years.
There you go.
And the reason why I love that is that when I saw that stat a few years ago, it was also side by side of marriages that were still like intact after 5 years, and it was roughly the same percentage.
So we're coming up on 5 years. So are you saying it's not going to stay intact? I mean,
I would hope so, but you may have different plans, and if so, let me get through the episode before you crush me.
Perfect.
So
there we go
on that. But some of the reasons why I think anything has longevity or does not all kind of roll together, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Great.
So looking forward to kind of again why it's going to succeed, why it's going to fail, and who it really ultimately falls on, and that is next here on the Franchising 360 Show. All right, we are back on the Franchising 360 Show. I'm Tim Parmeter alongside Danielle Wright, and we are talking a little bit about the things. We talked about the fun fact, the longevity. 85 to 90% of franchise businesses are still open and operating after 5 years.
Yeah.
Which means 10 to 15 are not.
Okay.
Right? So a little quick math I did in my head.
Where's my calculator?
The 10 to 15%, does that mean I'm thinking about becoming a franchise owner and I'm like, geez, I got a 15% chance of failing in 5 years?
Maybe.
Yes, but it's not quite that like kind of black and white from that standpoint.
I wish it was that black and white, but I think the thing people have to think about is like the first 2 years are the hardest for both parties. Yeah. Not just you, the franchisee, but also the franchisor, because there's not an equal balance. one's taking more than the other is giving, but the franchisor is betting that if I'm going to give you the support, the culture, the experience, all of those things, that we're going to give you a 2-year ramp. By year 3, you probably need to like figure it out, or maybe this is not the right relationship for us, right? And so those are things to think about in that failure aspect. But if you can make it past the first 24 months, like put that instead of saying 2 years, 2 years seems so long, like 24 months. Can you do it for 24 months?
Right.
Like, this isn't a diet campaign. This is a business that I hope will make me money.
Right.
So,
like what's going to be ultimately your life and lifestyle. But I think back to that 10 to 15%, just because a business is not still open after 5 years, doesn't mean it failed. It could have been, they could have had an opportunity to sell it in that time. And you and I have both seen this, and I've had a client a few years ago literally passed away, right? Like the business didn't fail, like the owner unfortunately and sadly died. So sometimes I think people look at franchising and see some of those things and overemphasize the negative aspect of it when
and sometimes it's
not.
more choice, right? Like what we like to call that is like a life event has occurred, right? Even if we go back to COVID, we dial way back to recession, those businesses may have not really failed for the reasons that, because we're not defining failure here.
Right.
Like
Right.
failure
just
can
not
look
open. Right.
a lot of different ways. It's just I'm no longer operating that business. We no longer operate businesses.
Right.
Doesn't mean that we failed.
Right.
We sold them. We no longer operate them.
Right.
Do they still operate in their form? I don't know. I don't go back. It's like breaking up with your ex-boyfriend. I'm not gonna go back and check on him, like, and say how are you doing after the breakup. Like, not gonna do that.
Right.
But everything has a season to it. So just because it's not currently functioning as my opportunity doesn't mean it was a bad thing.
Yeah. And I think we were kind of like half joking off air about like why would somebody fail, and whether it's a franchise, a relationship,
There's
job,
a lot of
whatever,
reasons.
Right?
But
like, Ryan had the two obvious
we're
ones.
bringing Ryan a lot into the show. He's going to have to make a guest appearance at some point.
I know. Well, if
he could be just this figment behind the camera.
If I bring him in, I don't know, maybe he
becomes the host.
Yeah, that would be even better for everybody. But it literally was like dumb and lazy. He said it.
It's not very PC.
Don't look at me
it's
like
not
that.
Very
so
PC.
It was not. It was totally him. But we can probably make that nicer. But in franchising, what's everybody going to say? Follow the plan. Put forth the effort.
Yes.
Right.
Have the money.
Yes.
So if you think about the reasons why, and from a franchisee and a franchisor, like I feel like these are two different categories, and we don't do well about separating those things out, because just because they're partnered together doesn't always mean that partnership is going to make one better or one worse, because you still have your individual responsibilities, right? So from a franchisee perspective, why would someone fail or not get off the ground or not succeed, or whatever words we're looking to use?
Right.
Yours is following a plan, like they've laid it out, you have to execute it,
Right.
using the right vendors, building the right culture. And a theme that's been going on pretty well for our shows is what? Remember that you're local.
Right.
Like, as an owner, it's your business, it's your backyard, it's people you go to church with, it's people that you see in and around at daycares, at camps, at schools. It's still your business, no matter what the franchise does. Now, we could talk forever about like over awarding or overselling or selling too quickly, not having the right support systems, as in I don't have a friend or someone I can call at the corporate office to help me through my struggles. They're not building the right culture. And culture has been a big word for a lot of our stuff. That is the tie that binds. And we say it a lot that it's like a buzzword, but the reality is it is the one thing that each do individually, but also inspire each other collectively.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, then all the rest of it doesn't matter.
Right. And I think there's not a right or wrong, or like, hey, this is the best franchise, or this is the best culture or system or support. You've got to be able to figure out what's best for you, right? Because if you're the one that's got to go do it every day, and if you don't like what you're doing and the people you're around.
It's a people business. We say it all the time.
Absolutely.
If I don't like the people and I love the product, I'm still not going to like the people.
Right.
It's not going to change.
Right.
And you have to work with those people.
Yes, both in your unit, like your employees, your customers, something you're like, oh, I hate everything about this business, and now I got to go in the community and talk about it. You're just not going to do it. Or if it's the franchisor, not that you got to be besties, but you've got to feel like you're in the right room with kind of your
Right.
people.
And we talk a lot about tying it to like marriage. That's why there's the dating process. There's
Right.
why you sign a franchise agreement, you sign a marriage license. Now you're committed to this relationship. Did you marry someone that you didn't like?
Right.
Generally in the beginning you like them. Like you fall out of like and love maybe later as things get tough, but in the beginning there's mutual, like, I like you like me, this could be a good thing. It's the same thing with choosing a franchise. Forget kind of what it does or who it serves or any of those things. Do you like it? Do you like the people?
Yeah.
You have to be married to them and rave about them to other people. The moment I start bad-mouthing you to the public, then we don't have a relationship anymore and I don't like you.
Right, exactly. I mean, it should not be the maybe, on either side. I shouldn't be starting the maybe franchise.
Yep.
They shouldn't be starting the maybe franchise owner,
Yep.
right? No different than in a relationship standpoint. And then I think the piece that always gets kind of lost in this is the franchise owner, like, you gotta work at this. This is hard at the beginning.
And I'll do the contrarian thing because it's not always the owner. Like I may be doing all of the things, but what is the franchise not doing for me?
Okay, give me an example.
We're not at a break moment? Like,
Oh, maybe we are. We'll take. You know what? I'll give you a moment to kind of think through that a little bit, and no, and some of those things, because it's easy when things start to go wrong. It wasn't me. It's
Point the
like
finger, yeah.
this versus this, and there's usually both sides of that. And there's some things that the franchisor may not be living up to on their end, but some things that the franchise owner may also
right.
be not living up to. So we're gonna see both sides of that when we come back here on the Franchising 360 show. All right, we are back on the Franchising 360 show. I'm Tim Parmeter alongside Danielle Wright, who forced us into a commercial break to kind of think through the question. And talking
I got
about
a career to support over here. I got to be careful what balls I'm throwing underneath trucks and things like.
But talking about, but no, it's the right conversation. It's never, I shouldn't say never. Rarely is it completely one side. If something goes wrong in any sort of kind of partnership relationship, it's rarely all 100% on one person, right? Or one side. So if a franchise owner is really struggling, what are some things that the franchisor might actually not be delivering on to cause that struggle?
A lot of things or a few things or little things, right? Like the franchisee is going to have whatever perspective, like you didn't give me this, you didn't give me that.
Right.
The thing that the viewers need to know is that they're still independently owned and operated businesses. You have your own LLC or your C Corp, S Corp, whatever your
Right.
organizational tax structure is. You're paying your taxes, you're paying your people. So a couple weeks ago, we had Mary Thompson on talking about joint employer. We don't talk about that on the show because it's way above both of our pay grades.
Right.
But there is something out there that employees of franchise locations were suing, saying that they were employees of the franchisor because the franchisor dictates to the franchisee uniforms, hiring policy, time that the store is operating. There are a lot of guidelines in a franchise agreement given to a franchisee on the code or ethics or operation of said business. That's the business in a box, right? Like we're paying for it, we're executing it, what have you. And what the argument is that franchises are independently owned and operated businesses. They have their own payrolls, they pay their own taxes, they have their own structure. So as a franchisee, you can come at me and say, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm not getting support, I don't have a phone a friend, all of these things. But at the end of the day, the franchisor is still going to turn the finger back and say, I am legally only required to do A, B, C. I'm not here to do D, E, F, and so forth and so on.
At that point, you don't need me as the franchise owner anymore if you're doing everything for me.
Then I'll run a corporate location.
Correct.
Granted, the reason why people franchise, for those that, hey, I have a business,
Yeah.
is you want to scale at a certain rate, and you may or may not have the capital to do that yourself.
Right.
You also have to scale outside of like your home territory to really make sure you can replicate the model in other markets. Like we just had pizza, right? Pizza may be great here, but pizza may not be great somewhere else.
Right. And it's the person that is leading that unit, wherever that might be, is literally has ownership in it versus like, hey, I'm going to hire somebody there. When you have ownership, you've got skin in the game on that, right? And so, and then I think
and that's part of the failure too.
Correct.
People go in thinking, oh, I gave you a franchise fee. Fine, I built it. Yay.
Right.
It's open. Now, when do I get to just cash the checks and not do anything? And that's a big misconception right now in franchising of it's so hard to remind people it's not a job, like I'm checking in from 9 to 5,
right.
But it is work.
Right.
I think there's a differentiator between those two words.
Right. And when you've done this properly, you have found like kind of the job and the work that you really enjoy doing, and again, back to the people you're around. So it's the old thing like, oh, if you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
Well, like there's still going to be the effort part of it that's involved, but you're doing the things that you like, you're around the people that you want. And even if you are not, if I'm the franchise owner and I perceive I'm not getting everything I'm supposed to from you, the franchisor, I kind of got two things. Or I can just, like cross my arms and pout, or I can...
Which happens.
And it
probably
does.
A lot more than people think.
And maybe that's okay, but like get over it quickly.
But the goal should be for the franchisor to have an open door policy to hear that concern. Because when you think about it, franchisors are not just the people that are are supporting you in the franchise. They have suppliers that are also supporting you.
Right.
So there's plenty of people for you to pick up the phone and call, but you have to really look at it as like, we now become business coaches, no matter your role. Like I was in development for a long time. How many people that opened a franchise called me after? What am I going to do? Like, I helped you get into it. I'm not here to figure out your marketing or your operational support or, hey, I can't hire anybody. Okay, let's have a moment. Let's release all of your tension, and then let me get you to the person that is going to know that and help you with that if they can.
And at some point as an owner, whether it's a franchise or not, if you are a business owner, at some point, and this is in franchising, this is the good FSO, right? You got to be able to figure stuff out, and because it is your business, your boots on the ground. Like, man, I wish they would support me or help me a little bit more.
I mean, quite honestly, if you go away, I'm just going to find another person to go in there and operate it if I'm the franchisor. Like, no skin off I don't want the closure on my books.
Right.
But no skin off my nose. There's bound to be someone else waiting to have that market. Pick up an existing business and run with it.
Right. And again, it's your time, it's your money, it's your life. You've got to be able to work through some things at times, and I think like it's not all going to be rainbows and unicorns. Stuff's going to go wrong, and whether the franchise could be the greatest brand and the best support, and you love every bit of it, they're not there to figure everything out for you.
No, and they actually do some things that might actually hurt you, right? Like some of them today are trying to award, sell, get more franchise owners in their system than that they could actually support. Right? If it's just you and me running a franchise, we can't bring on 100 owners in the next 6 months. Who's going to support them? At every stage. And imagine it's a stair-step stage. Like just because you signed on today, someone signed on 2 months ago, they're still in real estate or construction. You're at different inflection points of the opening process. So a franchise not being aware of how much support, and we use that word, but there's no better, I don't have... My dictionary is depleted.
Really, do you care about your franchise owners being successful and and especially anytime a brand or a group of brands, or you talking about sell, that's probably a little bit of a red flag in this, and that's the bad FSO in franchising is that, right? But those are things that you've got to be able to kind of consider to figure out where's your happy place, so you can succeed. So in 5 years from now, you are still.
But we have talked on previous episodes that validation sells franchises, right? Like So if people are not happy, if they're
Right.
not meeting their personal, instead of the word success, their personal
Right.
goals economically, operationally, then they're not going to validate anything except sadness, despair, and all of the other negative words that come about.
Yeah.
So a franchise should consider what's our capacity to help, what's our capacity to grow, what's the capacity to sustain. Because sometimes just staying where you are is the better option.
Yeah.
No one says that you have to grow to be the
And
size of
same
some of
thing
these
for
other big.
franchise owners, right? And as we kind of wrap this up, but the success is always so relative. You may have in the same system, you may be a single unit operator, super happy, hitting all of your goals. I may be talking to you thinking, hey, I want 5 of these or 10 of these, but you're still happy you're hitting your personal aspect of it. And that's really key to think about as you're going through
So there
this.
is going to be, as we wrap up, there is always going to be an element of fear or failure,
Yeah.
right? There's a reason why they start with the word F. But the reality is you can avoid that F if you wind up being introspective to say, what do I own?
Yeah.
How can I make it better from a franchisor perspective or a franchisee perspective?
Yeah. You find the right fit, you're usually probably going to ignore the other F and fail on that. So again, fantastic with all of that. And again, that's a little bit more on kind of the success and quote failure that can come up in the franchising world. And that is Danielle Wright. I'm Tim Parmeter on the Franchising 360 Show.
Thanks again for watching the Franchising 360 Show, brought to you by Fran Coach. Danielle and I hope these episodes continue to educate you on the franchise industry. In between our episodes, if you would like to learn more about franchising and the ways in which Fran Coach can help, there are a few places you should check out. First, be sure to listen to the award-winning Franchising 101 podcast. You can find this on Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Next, check out the Fran Coach YouTube channel, Fran Coach for You. You can catch past episodes of the Franchising 360 Show, plus tons of other content. If you like to read, we encourage you to check out the book, Becoming a Franchise Owner. And finally, when you are ready to take that first personalized step and explore franchise industry further, please reach out to our amazing team at Fran Coach. There is never any fee for our service, so let us help you create your better tomorrow. Until next week, for Danielle Wright, I'm Tim Parmeter. Thanks for tuning in to the Franchising 360 Show.